Liberty, viability, and something called stare decisis. Three terms you heard a lot of if you listened to yesterday's oral arguments in a case before the U.S. Supreme Court, a case most agree could have the best chance in decades of overturning the abortion protections in Roe v. Wade. Constitutional law professor Leslie Jacobs with us now live to discuss some of what we heard out of the proceedings. And Leslie, I just have to ask, many have said it, but after hearing the questions being asked yesterday and statements made by members of the conservative supermajority on the court, do you believe that Roe is gone?
Roe's gone in one way or another. It's either completely gone, which means states can do whatever they want with respect to abortion, or it's gone a lot, which means that states will be able to do what they want to abortion probably after about 12 or 15 weeks.
Okay, that's a pretty definitive answer given what we heard yesterday and the fact that the formal decision isn't expected until next summer. Now, over and over again, the notion of liberty was raised by the justices. Justice Clarence Thomas kept asking Julie Reichelman, who was before the High Court representing the Center for Reproductive Rights, he kept asking her what right in the Constitution would abortion be linked to, privacy, autonomy, and she said liberty, saying that the court has interpreted liberty as a right that protects choices surrounding family issues. Please explain for all of us non-lawyers.
Okay, well, I'd say the arguments were about liberty and legitimacy.
Okay.
And we're all getting a lesson in how the Supreme Court justices interpret the Constitution and what they're supposed to be doing when they're interpreting the Constitution. Because we're dealing with judges here, not elected politicians. And so the idea is that they're put on the court for life, and they are supposed to be interpreting an enduring meaning to the Constitution, not one that responds to their constituency. So what they need to do when they're interpreting, they're not making the law. They have to look at the law and say, here is where we're finding the meaning. And where they're finding the meaning, where they always have for a number of different rights having to do with bodily integrity or autonomy or determining yourself, is the word liberty in the Constitution. It's in the 14th Amendment. So liberty, they've interpreted it to mean right not to be sterilized. They've interpreted it to mean right to rear your children. And that's where the marriage right is located as well. And that's where the right to be able to access contraceptives and abortion are located. The justices say, this is where it is in the Constitution. We're interpreting that meaning.
Alrighty. Also for us non-lawyers, stare decisis. This was brought up repeatedly during this Dobbs versus Jackson women's health hearing. What is it and why were the justices talking about stare decisis so much?
Well, stare decisis is a foreign type word, and legitimacy is the one that we should probably more be talking about, which is that, once again, judges aren't elected, and so they don't have the legitimacy of voters constantly coming in and saying, you're doing the correct thing, we'll keep you, you're not doing the correct thing, you're not representing the majority, you're not democratic, we'll kick you out. And so judges need to, once again, have an enduring meaning, and so stare decisis is this idea of judges being legitimate when they're interpreting the Constitution without just changing it according to what their personal preferences are. They adhere to previous cases and previous meanings and build upon those.
Okay. Justice Brett Kavanaugh suggested in his questioning that states should be allowed to decide if abortion will be legal at all within their own borders or only during a very short window of pregnancy. Some have believed, with the known conservative views of 6 members of the current High Court, religious and otherwise, that if a case like this got to the Supreme Court, without doubt, Roe would disappear. But Kavanaugh during the hearing at least said the court shouldn't be pro or anti-abortion. It should be scrupulously neutral. Now, if this had been the kind of decision made, say, about slavery, we could have ended up with half of the states in the United States keeping slaves and then half not, right?
Well, exactly right. And that's what the separate but equal decision in Plessy versus Ferguson was. It was a decision to be neutral and say, states, you can do what you want. You can either segregate or you cannot segregate. And so this whole idea about neutrality is a rhetorical device, because the court, whenever it's interpreting an individual right, it has to determine, is it there or is it not there? And if it's not there, then it leaves it to the democracies and the states to make their decision. But it does that every single time. There's nothing new about this. And it's not true that a decision will be neutral here to overrule a 50-year precedent.
Yeah, some semantics. There was also a lot of discussion about the bright timeline of fetal viability, and some of the justice kind of signaling that that didn't matter very much.
Well, that was the line that was in Roe, and then the Casey decision. Remember, we've been here in 1992, the big drum roll, the Republican-appointed justices. Are you going to overturn Roe versus Wade? 3 of them get together and say, no, we're not, but we're going to modify it. We're going to make it a smaller right. And that's the same thing here. And so they kept the viability line, essentially saying after viability, states can prohibit abortion entirely, except for life or health of the mother. And so here the question would be, well, maybe, or the issue would be whether viability is all that crucial to the right, or whether maybe there's some other definition, which is some opportunity, fair opportunity of time to be able to make a choice. And that doesn't necessarily hinge upon when the fetus is viable, potentially outside the womb.
Alrighty, so much to dig into with the discussions yesterday and months to wait for a decision. Thank you so much for your insight this morning.
Happy to be here.